Homemaker Lisa Dyer is suing her sister-in-law, homemaker Sonia Malone, for the return of a ring. Sonia is countersuing for defamation of character and for making threats.
Yeah, this is case number 55 on county matter. Dyer versus Malone. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Ladies, have seats, please.
Bird, would you please get from Miss Malone the ring in question?
Sweetie.
Thank you.
Oh, it's okay.
Very nice. Miss Dyer, Miss Malone is your sister-in-law. She's married to your brother, and before this whole incident with this piece of jewelry, the two of you enjoyed, according to what I've read, a very cordial, friendly relationship.
Yes, ma'am.
According to you, it is your claim that Miss Malone has your ring.
Correct.
She says that you lost it. Her niece found it. Her niece sold it to her. That's how she came into possession of the ring. In any event, this is your ring. It is clearly conceded that this ring initially belonged to you. You had it made.
Yes, I did.
Okay. And according to you, your sister-in-law really loved the ring.
Yes, ma'am.
At some point, she didn't want to buy it. Anyway, you want your ring back.
Yes, ma'am.
Miss Malone says that you tossed the ring out in some clothes that you were giving away. She knows that because she purchased the ring from your niece.
Yes, ma'am.
Who had found the ring. You fixed the ring.
Yes, ma'am.
Put it in a stone or two, and it's your ring. And aside from that, you got paid for the ring from your insurance. So that finders keepers, losers weepers, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And in addition, Miss Malone says that you've gone around saying that she took the ring, you threatened her and her family, and she wants the value of the replacement diamond, the fixing of the ring, and she's got a counterclaim. When did you have the ring made?
I had the ring made in 1988.
And when, for the first time, did your sister-in-law tell you she loved the ring? Do you remember?
She was sort of my best friend at the time that I had the ring made and designed. She seen the ring after I had it made, and she always admired the ring. She always begged me for the ring. I'm going to get that ring. I want that ring. And I'm like, no.
Okay. She loved the ring. She wanted the ring.
Right.
Now, when did you stop wearing the ring?
About 2 years ago.
Why?
There was a stone missing.
When did you notice the ring was missing?
I noticed the ring missing a while back. I was so heartbroken over the ring gone, but I never reported to police. And no, I have not made an insurance claim on this ring. Okay, I just want to make that clear. So in May of 2003, she's married to my brother, and I purchased a home in the state of Virginia. So I came to her home, and I announced that I was moving and so forth and so on. The first thing that came out of her mouth was, "Where's that ring?" I'm like, I haven't seen the ring in a while. I'm hoping that when I move, that maybe I'll run across it. And so then I moved. It's a lot of transferring from moving from one state to another. So I, in January, came to the defendant's house because I was purchasing cigarettes for her. And so I called my brother and told him I brought his wife some cigarettes, and I was on my way over. So I arrived at her home, and I
spoke to your brother, not the defendant.
No, I didn't speak to her. I spoke to my brother and told him I was coming to his home. So when I came to her home and I looked up across the room, I just seen the ring glisten. I knew immediately when it glistened that it was my ring. I went over there and I grabbed her hand and I said, "How did you get my ring?" She's like, "This isn't your ring. This isn't your ring." I said, "Yes, it is. Sonia, it's the ring. You've been begging me forever." "No, it's not." And so I was so upset that I was shaking and panicky and this and the other. And then once I brought it to my brother's attention, my brother says, "Yeah, that is your ring. Sis, that is your ring. Now I recall that is your ring, So she says to me, "Well, I paid $50 for the ring and I've got money involved into it and I'm not just handing over the ring."
Okay. Now, Miss Malone, I'm going to go to you. You tell me where you got this ring from.
I bought it off my niece, Claudia Sparks.
Okay, step up. Your name is Sparks?
Yes.
And how are you her niece?
I'm married through marriage. Her husband is my husband's uncle.
Okay, so on the other side.
Yes.
And how did you acquire this ring?
First of all, I just want to know that, I'm an independent witness. I'm not on either side because I don't want to stand in the middle of families. She was having a garage sale, so that whatever
Who's having a garage
Lisa, she was getting ready to move, was having a garage sale. She said, "Whatever clothes is left, whatever you want, come and get it." I went over there with garbage bags. I filled up 16 big black garbage bags of clothes. I brought them home. I didn't go through them right away. I left them outside because a lot of people give me clothes, and that's what I do. I put them to the side for whoever could use them. When I was going through the clothes, I started bringing bags on time in. Didn't know whose it was. I picked up a big pile of clothing underneath. I saw a ring. At the time I saw it, there were diamonds missing. It was really dirty. It was all black. I didn't think it was real. I let my daughter play with it. Sonia had seen the ring.
How did she see the ring?
She had come over. I was showing her my daughter's plain jewelry. My daughter had gotten jewelry for Christmas, and it was just in my dresser drawer. We were just going through things, and she saw the ring.
And she asked about it?
Yes.
And what did you tell her, Miss Fox? Where did you tell her you got the ring?
I told her I found it laying in the hallway in front of the bathroom. It's exactly like I didn't tell her that I fell out of clothes. I didn't tell her none of that. I told her I found it in front of my bathroom door when I was going through clothes.
When you were going, listen to me, let's be very careful, okay? Because one thing I've learned in my business, if it's not logical, it's usually not true.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Her sister-in-law, Sonia Malone, stole her ring. Sonia says she bought the ring from her niece.
Now, if somebody says to you, "Where did you get that ring?" a normal person would not say, "I found it on the floor in my bathroom."
Okay.
Do you understand?
Yes.
They would say, "When I was going through bags of clothes, I found it." Right?
Yes.
The next normal question from somebody who knew what the ring was would say, "Where did you get the clothes?" Right?
Yes.
And what did you tell Miss Malone when she asked you where you got the clothes from?
I do believe I told her that these were some clothes from Lisa's garage sale that I had brought.
Right. Okay. Now, what did she say to you?
She just asked me if I wanted to sell the ring.
And you said?
I said, "It's ugly. I would give it to you, but I could use the money, so here."
So here what?
I sold her the ring. I gave it to her.
You sold her the ring for?
$50.
Okay. And she took out $50 and gave it to you?
Yes, in cash.
And you say, "I'm an independent witness." So let me tell you where you went wrong in the first place. If I'm part of a family and I go to pick up some clothes, and in the bag of clothes, I find something that is valuable or potentially valuable. If I'm a good family member, I call Lisa and say, "Lisa, you know what I found in that bag of clothes that I took from you? I found this piece of jewelry. I don't know if it's a good piece of jewelry. It's not, but, I'm sure you didn't realize that you were throwing it out with your clothes. Here's your ring back."
Yes, sir.
Right?
Yes. But I was not aware that that was her ring. I had different clothes that were
Baloney. Baloney. Even if you suspected that it might have been coming from her bag, if you suspected it might be hers, a family member says, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Especially when she said, "Where did it come from?" light bulb should have gone off in your head. Right?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. Sit down. Now, Miss Malone, let's get to you, madam. She told you that she believed that this bag of clothing came from the plaintiff. This is a ring that you had previously seen. So you knew the ring belonged to Lisa.
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did. Don't be a liar. Liar, liar, pants on fire. Don't be a liar. You knew the ring belonged to Lisa. You thought.
She told me she just found the ring. She didn't say it came specifically out of a bag.
She found the ring where? She just testified. You telling me
In
that
her
your
house.
witness is lying?
In her house.
She found the ring. What? The ring fairy brought it into her house? She told you how she got it, Miss Malone. Don't sit to me. I make you look like a fool. You said, "Where did you find it?" She said, "I was cleaning out bags of clothes." What clothes? She already testified to that. So don't be a liar.
I'm not a liar.
Yes, you are. You knew this ring. You had seen this ring over the years. You knew the ring belonged to the plaintiff. You don't even deny your answer that you knew the ring belonged to the plaintiff or that you had a strong suspicion that it belonged to the plaintiff. What you say in your answer is, "I bought it for $50.
Correct.
I paid to have it fixed.
Correct.
Therefore, it's mine."
Correct.
Right. Wrong. Wrong. You knew that the ring did not belong to your witness to sell. And you knew that when you gave her $50 for the ring, that it was worth a lot more than $50. So you were not a purchaser without knowledge that this was either lost, misplaced, or perhaps stolen. Therefore, now your claim is that you paid $50 for it, which I reject because you shouldn't have paid $50 for it. You shouldn't have paid anything for it. You should have said to her, especially a family member, you better ask Lisa whether that's her ring, whether she intended to give it away. That's what you should have said first. Then when you invested money, you expect to get your money back. Right. You don't get it back. You did the wrong thing. If you do the wrong thing, you don't get the money back. So aside from making trouble in your family, which I'm sure you did between your husband and his sister and everybody else and getting her involved, all because you wanted an extra piece of jewelry, you did the wrong thing. You do the wrong thing, you're not rewarded. So you don't get the ring back, and you don't get what you paid for it, and you don't get what you paid to have it fixed. She gets the ring back.
No, the ring looked familiar. I asked her if Lisa had seen the ring. She told me that Lisa had offered her $100 for the ring, but she chose not to sell it to her.
Why? Let me tell you something. She says she didn't know whose ring it was. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Your witness says she didn't know whose ring it was when she sold it to you. Give her back the ring.
Thank you.
Now,
Thank you.
your first counterclaim, Miss Malone, is that the plaintiff has been telling people that you have her ring wrongfully. Is that right?
She said that I stole the ring. I never stole the ring.
Well, you did. In effect, you did. Because she didn't know that the ring was not an abandoned piece of property. You knew. Now, Miss Malone, there isn't very much question in my mind that if your husband had told you she was coming over, you would have taken off the ring before she got there.
No, that's not true.
Oh, well, for a while she hadn't seen it. And you do wear a lot of jewelry. So my sense is that you probably, had you had noticed that she was coming over, you would have slipped it off your finger and said, I don't want to start any trouble.
That's not true. I didn't think the ring was hers, Your Honor.
I don't believe it. Don't believe it.
Okay.
I don't believe you. Circumstances suggest to me that you knew or should have known, if you wanted to open up your mind, that the ring belonged to Lisa. At least enough that you would have said to her, Lisa, is this yours? All in all, you did the wrong thing. You don't get rewarded for doing the wrong thing. Your counterclaim's dismissed. You have your ring back. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I didn't know it was her ring.
She knew this ring. She knew this ring when she seen it from Claudette.
Nobody in the family wants nothing to do with her. She's a trifling lion.
She was my friend, and she was my birth coach for 2 children.
I wasn't her best friend. I didn't hang out with her.
I'm just glad it's going to be over with now. Maybe, the family can calm down a little bit.
I knew in my heart that I would prevail on this and would get my ring back.
She ain't gonna never be around my kids or nothing. She's out of our family.
22-year-old warehouse worker Kevin Naughton is suing his ex-girlfriend, 24-year-old assembly line printer Glory Jackson, for stabbing him in the arm. Glory says Kevin was attacking her.
Order. All rise. And this is number 312 on the calendar in the matter of Norton versus Jackson. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat.
Mr. Norton, there was a time when you and Miss Jackson had a relationship. Is that right?
Yes.
According to your complaint, you had an argument. And during the course of that argument, Miss Jackson stabbed you with a knife.
Yes, ma'am.
There's no question that you were cut, you received stitches. You want her to pay for that assault.
Yes.
Miss Jackson says she was defending herself because you were in the process of assaulting her and you actually ran into the knife, which she had picked up for protection because you were hitting her. When did this assault take place, sir?
On the 19th of July.
Now, Miss Jackson has a counterclaim. Miss Jackson says that because of you assaulting her and her defending herself, she was arrested and she had to pay attorneys and she had other costs. So she is counterclaiming for not only the costs of her defending herself, but also for the assault that she alleges you committed against her. Correct?
Yes.
All right. 19th of July, 2004?
Yes.
You were at her house. What were you doing at her house, Mr. Norton?
Well, she had called me on my cell phone, and she had just had a baby, and she had told me that the baby was mine. But the whole time when she was pregnant, she said she was pregnant by some Marine dude in California.
A submarine dude?
Yeah, some Marine guy. She brags about him all the time like he's the best person in the world. So anyway, I come over to see the baby. I'm like, I thought you said it was his. And she just had it, because before she had a baby, like a couple years ago, she had a baby, she said it was mine. And I took a blood test, it wasn't even mine. So she was doing it again, so I'm like, it's not mine. I went to go look at the baby, and I said it didn't look like me. So she gets mad, she tells me to get out of her house, excuse my language. So as I'm leaving, I'm going out the door, I turn around, she's coming at me with a knife. I put it on my arm, and she stabs me in the arm. She stabbed me so hard, the knife broke. And I ran outside, and the ambulance had came and picked me up out the street. I was laying in the middle of the street.
All right, Miss Jackson, you want to tell me your version of the events.
On the morning of July 19th, Mr. Naughton was over at my house.
How did he get there?
He called me and told me that he couldn't get into his mother's house and asked me if he could spend the night. I don't even know Mr. Nun's telephone number at that time. Okay, so I said, sure. He came over that night. He spent the night. That morning, I was on the phone with my sister, and he told, and then, okay, so then I took the baby in there to lay him down. Then he said, quit making all the noise. I'm tired. I'm tired. I said, I know why you tired. You don't have no job no more. And then he jumps up, and he's like, don't be telling them bees my business. Came in my face. I'm in the bathroom. I'm about to get in the bathtub. Then he pushed me, and I proceeded towards him to, move him. But he's punching me as I'm walking towards him. So I'm running out.
Where is it? Just a second. Where is he punching you?
He's punching me all here. He didn't ever hit me in my face. He just punched me in my body, my upper top of my body.
Now, were you dressed or undressed as you were going to take a bath?
No, I still had on my pajamas, a nightgown.
Okay, so go ahead.
Okay, so then I took off running I just ran to the first place. I ran to the kitchen. There was a knife on the counter. He still hit me in the back as I'm running. I grabbed the knife, and I'm doing it like this, saying, Kevin could just get out my house and tell him to get out my house. And he wouldn't leave, and he came towards me, and that's when he got cut. I never swung the knife to cut him. I just held the knife out so he could leave. I could not run out the house because my children were in the house, in their room, sleep. And that's how it happened. Then he took off running out the door. And I did call the police, but his phone call got through before mine, or I don't know what happened. But
just a second. He ran out the door. He was cut.
I didn't know he was cut. Okay.
He ran out the door. He was cut.
Mm-hmm.
Who called the ambulance?
The police must have called the ambulance.
Okay. Now, when did you call the police?
I called the police as soon as I shut the door and locked the door. I called them.
Okay. Did you call the police on your house phone?
No, I called off my cell phone.
Where was your cell phone?
It was on the couch.
You're her sister.
Yes, yes.
You sure you want to do this?
Yes.
I'd think twice about it. But if you're sure you want to do this, I'm ready for you.
Okay.
Step up here. Button your shirt.
It's oh.
It isn't buttoned. Did you go to a preliminary hearing when your sister was arrested?
No.
Did you ever tell a detective that you were on the phone with your sister during this altercation?
Yes.
That was a lie.
No,
No, that was a lie.
How was it a lie?
That was a lie. And I'm going to tell you how I know that was a lie.
How?
Because you just told me 2 seconds ago that you were going into the bathroom in your pajama. You were still in your pajamas drawing a bath. I'm speaking, and he came into the bathroom, and you started to tussle with him, and you pushed him away from you.
I didn't push him away from me.
Yes, he started.
It's in the letter statement that he wrote. He wrote me a letter.
Listen to me very carefully, madam.
Mm-hmm.
You said you pushed him away from you.
No, I ran. After he pushed me, I was running towards him.
And then you ran outside, and you got a knife. And you held up the knife. And then he got cut. And then you went back to the couch to pick up a phone, which is where you told me the cell phone was, where you called the police. However, in your answer that I read very carefully, you say, the DA eventually dismissed the charges because my sister had stayed on the other end of the phone while this incident occurred.
Mm-hmm.
No, she didn't. No, she didn't.
It's in this letter. He even admitted to her that he knows I was on the phone. I was on the phone the whole time. He wrote me a letter stating
You mean to tell me that the phone was in the bathroom?
I was on the phone.
In the bathroom getting ready to take a bath?
I ran my bath. But I was
just a second. How did the phone then get on the couch?
Because I threw it down as I was running.
Let me see the letter.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Kevin Naughton claims ex-girlfriend Glory Jackson stabbed him in the arm. Kevin says Glory freaked out when he denied being the father of her child.
This doesn't say you were on the phone with your sister.
He said, I did not know you were on the phone with your sister.
And telling her your business. This doesn't say you were on the phone with your sister during the course of the incident.
That's what he's talking about in the letter.
Listen to me. That's not what it says. What else do you want to say?
I guess that's it.
No, not you.
Oh.
You.
I was on the telephone with her when I heard his voice, and I was asking her who that was. And she told me his name, and I said, who? She said, it's the guy that his relative lives next door to my mom. And I said, oh, okay, because I had met him before.
Yes.
And then, but he was cursing and yelling and everything in the back, and I was asking her why. Then the phone dropped and it went dead. So I was on the telephone with her.
You didn't hear anything of this incident, is that right?
No, I heard him cursing at her, calling her the B word, slut, and all those type of things. Yes, I did.
Go ahead.
All right, I was going to say that she stabbed me so hard the knife broke. So it wasn't like I just ran into it. She came like this.
Did you go to the doctor after this assault? Not you. I know you did. Did you go to the doctor after this assault?
No, I was arrested.
Well, when you're arrested, they take photographs of you if you have bruises on your body.
Bruises don't usually show up till a few hours later. I didn't have any bruises.
You mean he was punching you and hitting you and you didn't have any marks?
No.
Mm-hmm. You have a police report, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to see it.
You want to see my medical bills, too?
Yeah. You have any police report you want me to read?
I have a police report from a previous incident that we had.
I'm not interested in that.
Okay.
If you have a previous incident with him, madam, then you don't invite him over to your house to stay over.
I didn't invite him. He called me and asked me if he could stay there till the morning.
Huh. Did you tell him that you thought this baby was his?
No, I did not. His auntie told him that she thought that my baby was his. We were not even messing around at that time. He wanted it to be his very badly, as stated in the letter, so we can be a family, work it out. Yeah, that's what you said. You know you did.
What do you want to say, sir?
I mean, I ain't never told her that. She named her last baby. She named after me, and it wasn't even mine. And this one, she's supposed to be with some Marine dude.
I told you it wasn't yours, though. So what are you talking about? I
gotta keep the players straight, folks. Gotta keep the players straight. All right, you had medical bills of $817. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,000. Your counterclaim, madam, for false arrest is dismissed. I believe that your sister's full of baloney. I don't think that your sister heard anything that involved an assault, heard anything involving punching, hitting, or whatever. She may have heard him curse at you. She may have. I mean, I read what happened on that day. According to him, he told a totally consistent story of what happened that he told today. And he told that at the point where he was bleeding from his arm. He hardly had enough opportunity to make up a good story. You, on the other hand, did. Your counterclaim is dismissed. That's all.
All right, he's our excuse. You may step out.
She was cool at first until I said it wasn't mine, and she flipped the script.
I told him that the baby wasn't his. It was a question, but I told him that it wasn't.
I'm through with it.
He always wanted to be over there and just be with me. I don't know. Just had a baby, so, you know, we wasn't finna have no sex.
I can show you my cell phone. She called me last night and at the airport.
He got his little money now. Maybe he can go get him something with his broke self.
She probably called me right after this.
That's
All parties in the matter of Amperan versus Lyle. Step forward, please.
dental assistant Olivia Amperin is suing her former live-in boyfriend, business owner Alan Lyle, for the return of a barbecue pit and a chair and ottoman set. Olivia also claims Alan assaulted her 9-year-old son.
Miss Amperin, how long did you and the defendant live together?
15 months.
And he moved into your house?
Yes.
And you have children?
Yes, I do have 2.
How old are they?
12 and 9.
Was Mr. Lyle a reasonable companion with regard to the children?
No.
Okay. According to your complaint, there was an incident in September?
That's correct.
Involving one of your children. Was that the 12-year-old or the 9-year-old?
The 9-year-old.
Where you claim that Mr. Lyle hit him?
That's correct.
And you called the police and had him removed from the house. What day was that?
It was the 7th.
And then it is your claim that he came back into the house and he took some of your property. He took a barbecue pit, a chair, and a lamp. And you say that you purchased all these things? You paid for these things? Mr. Lyle says he only took what was his. And you also want some sort of damage because you say that he hit your 9-year-old son, slapped him.
That's correct.
So tell me what happened on September 7th.
It was in the evening. We had come home, myself and my 2 children. We drove up. The door to the front of the house was open. Everything was open. So we proceeded into the house, myself and my children, and I told them because of the situation that we were in, living with Alan Lyle, that just to go into your rooms, don't answer to him, just do what I ask you to do to avoid any confrontation.
So they did so. As I proceeded into my bedroom, he was there with a duffel bag. I simply asked him a question as to where are you packing, where are you going? And he started telling me I have no right to ask him where he's going, whether he's coming for me to get the effing with my children, go over there, go sleep with your children, go sleep with your gay son. He's a mama's boy. He'll never amount to anything, and he just kept on with those things. So I went ahead and went out from the room to my son's bedroom, and I comforted him because he did hear these things. Alan then went outside to the garage, and I didn't tell you this before, but when I came home that night, he was under the influence of alcohol and marijuana, and I went outside. We began to argue. He turned around and said for me to get the hell back in the house, go to sleep, and he proceeded again to tell me that if you don't get back into the house, I'm going to go and tell your son how you brought him into the world with your legs spread open.
Nasty things.
Yes, nasty things. And he went into my son's bedroom and turned around and got him up against the bedroom corner and smacked him across the face 3 times. I told him for him to stop or I was going to call the cops.
Why did he do that?
He was angry with just the whole situation of how we were living.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Torrin says ex-boyfriend Alan Lyle posed for the return of a barbecue pit and a chair and ottoman set.
Say for the police.
Right, and I do want to say that when he was outside, I was very, very angry, and I know as a mother I should have told my son to curse at him, but my son did curse at him, and he didn't want to, and so I believe either that made him angry, also with everything else, so he came into the house.
But there had to be a reason, otherwise there would not be logic to it if he just walked inside and slapped him in the face. So he slapped him in the face because he cursed at you.
Right.
Is that what happened? Is that what happened?
Yes.
Now, tell me about the property. Let's start with the chair and the ottoman.
Right, he was given 1 day to come back.
Who purchased the chair and the
I
ottoman?
did, and I have receipts.
May I see it, please? I'll hear you.
We both went together to Wix and purchased it. Her grandmother co-signed for her to get a Wix card. She picked out the couches. We went throughout the whole store. I sat in every chair. I'm a big guy. I took a picture of the chair.
I just want to pay for it.
It was purchased on her credit card, but after the fact that we went home, we moved into our place on May 1st. So we purchased our furniture in May.
Right.
Throughout the months, I had given her $100, $200 here and there, just for the chair. Everything else was on her account, the couches and stuff, because it was agreed that if I was to ever leave, that I would be taking the chair and the lamp.
How did you deal with your finances when you lived together?
She was working, I was working.
How did you take care of the rent?
She paid half, I paid half. I gave her half of the money, and then she would write the check for it because she had a checking account.
How much did you give her?
I gave her $750 in rent, and then the agreement was to pay half of the utilities, but I ended up paying all of them.
Did he give you $750 for rent?
Yes, he did.
Who paid for the food?
Both of us.
Is that right?
No, Your Honor, he wasn't working. When we moved into this house together, he was not working. I put down the down payment, and I put the first and last month.
When you moved into this apartment, sir, where were you working?
When we first moved in, I was doing freelance jobs, getting hired here and there to do subcontracting work.
How many months was it before you got a full-time job?
3.5 months, middle of September.
I say November.
So, May, June, July, August, so for 5 months you weren't working. Is that what you're telling me?
4.5 months, yes.
Did you ever make up your half of the rent for those 4.5 months?
Not fully.
Almost not an answer.
No, not fully the $750, no.
Why not?
Well, because on top of that, I was taking care of her 2 kids, making sure they were maintained in school, doing their schoolwork, so childcare, basically.
Mr. Lyle, don't pee on my leg and tell me it's raining. You give it back the ottoman on the chair. She bought it. She paid for it in May of 2003. You sitting in it doesn't make it yours, sir. Now, let's get to the barbecue. Who purchased the barbecue? When?
In June. I was going to have a 4th of July barbecue. We didn't have a barbecue pit. I went out to Home Depot.
Let me see.
Down at the bottom.
June 27th. Yes, sir. I'm hearing about the barbecue pit. Go.
She said that she purchased that she went there by herself and bought it. That's incorrect.
No, she didn't say she went there by herself, sir.
Yes, she did.
It doesn't make any difference whether she went there with the whole Coxie army, sir. Whether she went there with William
That
Brothers.
was a Father's Day gift to me.
You're not a father?
Yes, I am.
Oh, you're an idiot. Listen, I can't. The truth of the matter is, I really can't deal with it. I want to tell you something else. I want to tell you something else, sir. I don't even trust you to return these items to her in good condition because I think that you are a less than honorable human being. That's my sense of you, and I've only met you for a relatively short time. But those people who know me know that I'm a pretty good judge of character. You took these things that didn't belong to you. You sat in the chair, it doesn't make it your chair. Because you grilled a hamburger, it doesn't make it your barbecue. Just for the plaintiff, the amount of $1,400. That's all.
Thank you very much. Excuse me, Mr. Plaintiff. He has 2 kids, and 2 different fathers. They couldn't stand her either.
I mean, that's how he is. Obnoxious.
She's violent. She has a temper. She likes to put her hands on men.
He's the one who has the police report on him saying that he hit my son, so he's the violent one.
It's undone already. It's over now.
Naval Officer Marvin Wakefield and his wife, Jennifer Jesse, are suing the former guardian of Marvin's son, Carolyn Blake, for filing false charges with Child Protective Services. Carolyn claims Marvin kidnapped his boy.
That's case number 353 on the calendar, the matter of Wakefield Jesse versus Blake. Who's been sworn in? You may be seated.
Mr. Brakefield, this is your girlfriend, is that right?
This is my wife.
This is your wife now?
Yes.
At the time of this, it was your girlfriend?
At the time, good, yeah.
Okay. According to what I read, several years ago, you had either a relationship with somebody, you got a brief marriage.
I was married to my first wife.
Okay. And that marriage produced a child.
Yes, it did.
A child that your then wife was not interested in raising.
That's correct.
And you took custody of that child.
Yes, I did.
But you weren't either in a position or you weren't interested in being a full-time parent either. So you turned your son over to the defendant for the purpose of care. And Mrs. Blake cared for your son for how many years?
21 months.
And during that 21 months, you were in the armed forces?
Yes.
Where were you stationed?
It was in Pueblo, California, in San Diego.
And Mrs. Blake cared for your son Every day. He slept there?
Not full-time, no. She was a daycare provider and a close friend.
You mean your son was only there during the day?
No, she was there during the day, except for Tuesdays and Thursday nights where she offered to keep him overnight so that I could go work out at the gym and perhaps get some more personal time.
Other than that, he slept at your house?
He slept overnight at my house, yes.
Is that correct?
No, it's not correct. He was with me 24/7 for the first 4 months. He didn't even come by to visit his son, but twice. That was only after we requested it.
So for the first 4 months, he was with you full-time?
He was with me full-time the whole 21 months.
Does that sound right?
No, it's not correct at all.
Okay. Whether the child was with you 24/7 for the first 4 months or 21 months practically full-time, you started a new relationship with the co-plaintiff, and you decided that it was no longer necessary for Mrs. Blake to take care of your son, so you picked him up one day from her home, didn't tell her that you did not plan to return him, and took him, I assume, back to your house.
Yes.
Mrs. Blake called Child Protective Services. She tried to contact you. She didn't know where you were. She didn't know where the child was. She called Child Protective Services, and she made a report of suspected child abuse and/or neglect. And you did do that.
Yes,
you acknowledge that you did that.
Yes, I did, and was concerned deeply about Cody. He was out of my sight without me knowing where he was more than 2 days.
Just a second. Well, that's what your case is involving. Your case is involving this call to Child Protective Services, which you say were unnecessary and unwarranted, causing you all kinds of grief, and you want to be compensated for that.
Yes.
And Mrs. Blake said that what you really did was amount to kidnapping this child without telling her that you were taking him, without telling her that you did not intend to return him to the home, and she had a legitimate concern about his well-being, and she called Child Protective Services. Right? That's correct. So, there's no question that for almost 2 years, Miss Blake was an integral part of your son's life. Is that right?
That's true.
How did he refer to her?
Mom.
I'm asking him.
He called her Mom because that's how she called him Mommy. She called him Mamas. So that what he would say when he was around her.
All I want to know from you is, I want a direct answer to my question. Direct answer to my question, Mr. Brakefield, is that he called the defendant Mommy, right?
Yes.
Cody also calls him Mommy. He also calls me Mommy. He calls a lot of people.
I didn't ask you anything yet. Nothing. How did you find Mrs. Blake?
She was a wife of one of my coworkers when I was at a different command.
You must have regarded her highly if you turned your son over to her.
I didn't have anybody else.
So what you're telling me is you would have turned him over to anybody because you needed a babysitter. Is that what you're telling me?
No. She offered to help me out. I was in a tight situation. She offered to help me out, and I accepted her help.
Mr. Brakefield, you're not going to be able to get away from my question. Either you believe that she was a quality caregiver, or you didn't know whether she was a quality caregiver or not, but you used her anyway.
I believe she was a quality caregiver.
That's a better answer. So, did anything happen during the course of the 21 months that Mrs. Blake was caring for your son that led you to believe that she was not a quality caregiver?
Yes.
Tell me what that was.
There were several occasions where I went to her house and picking my son up from her. There'd be dog feces outside of her bedroom or down near her office, and she'll tell her son to clean it up, and it would just stay there.
So that happened when?
On several occasions.
How much into the babysitting?
It was probably anywhere from 6 months to a year and a half into it.
Well, you weren't sufficiently concerned about that
To take your son out and find a different daycare for him, right?
I felt it was something that I could resolve
How could you resolve that?
by talking to her and saying, no, I've brought this up to you on past occasions.
So what I'm asking you is, it never reached the point where you felt as if your child was in danger.
Not in physical danger, no.
Well, in physical danger from being in a place that was unclean.
Well, he was allowed to walk around with cleaning products like the dishwasher pillow packets. I brought that up, and I was told, he can't break those open. They're tough to open. You can barely, it's hard to open them, so he's perfectly safe.
When during the course of her babysitting for your son did that happen? How old was he?
It actually happened on multiple occasions. I just kept bringing it up, and just, he's fine. And then one day I get a phone call from her saying, well, I'm not going to let him walk around with the cleaners anymore. He just sprayed 409 into Trevor's eyes.
When did you take your son out of Miss Blake's care?
On the 25th of July of this year.
And what was the impetus of you doing that?
I have a letter that I sent her that listed the reasons why I was terminating her services.
Let me see the letter.
The straw that broke the camel's back was that I allowed her to take my son to Las Vegas because she was going there for 4 days, one of which on the very first day was my dad's day off because my father lives there, and I figured, well, she can take my son to see his grandfather.
Yes.
So the very first day that she was there, it was my dad's day off. My dad did not see his grandson that day.
All right.
My dad didn't see his grandson until the night before they left, and only for half an hour. So I was on the phone with my dad when she walked in the front door. So my dad says, well, they're here. I'm going to see my grandson. I hung up the phone. Half hour later, I called him back expecting to hear, oh, yeah, everything's going great. I'm loving my grandson. I don't get that. I get, she doesn't like you. I said, well, Dad, why doesn't she like me? She has nothing good to say about you. She said you're self-centered. She says you're never there for your son. And I said, this is why I had her as a babysitter, because I'm in the Navy and sometimes I do work some late hours and I live 40 miles from work. So sometimes I go home and I sit in traffic for an hour and a half and I don't get there till 6, 7 o'clock at night. And it's not that I don't want to be there for my son. It's just that I had her services so that I wouldn't have to go to my boss and say, it's 4 o'clock, I got to pick up my son from daycare.
Your Honor? Just a second. Okay. So are you telling me that the reason you decided to terminate her employment, by the way, how much did you pay her?
$300 twice a month. My father also told me that...
Don't tell me anything that your father told you, sir, because that's all hearsay. So you paid her a little over $600 a month. Is that right?
He didn't pay for the first 4 months. We got the baby on December 26th. He had nothing, no diapers, no clothes, no items. This is the first baby item I bought him.
Just a second. So what you're telling me, the first 4 months
4 months,
he gave you...
nothing. Not
Is that right?
one dime.
No, that's not true.
Show me proof that for the first 4 months you paid her $300 twice a month.
I paid her in cash. She insisted on it.
And later?
It was all cash. I mean, I paid her by check one time, and she got upset because she said she didn't want to have to make a trip to the bank.
So let me ask you this question, sir. You wrote this after you had already taken your son
Out of her
without
care.
telling her.
Right.
So
She
you
has
took
a-
Your Honor, I have court documents to where Carolyn was so involved in his divorce and so pushy in regards to the care of Carolyn that
Cody.
the attorney actually asked that she not be in the picture anymore.
Doesn't make any difference. I told you once before. I didn't ask you anything. When did you meet him?
In March.
When did you start dating?
March.
And were you dating in April?
Yes.
Where did you live?
In Oceanside.
How did you meet him?
I met him online.
And when did you decide to get married?
June.
So you decided to get married in June, and in July all of these irritants that had been bothering him for 2 years all of a sudden made it so that he took the child out of Miss Blake's custody without giving her any advanced warning. Is that the time frame we're talking about?
That's right.
Right. I got it. So you'll answer me when I ask you a question. Do you have children?
No.
Okay. Is somebody from Child Protective Services currently monitoring your home?
No, they closed the case.
Did I look as if I was looking at you? I was looking at him.
They closed the case and they sent they gave
I
me a
want to
letter.
see the closed letter. This letter suggests that they conducted an investigation over a 2-month period and that you now have your child in a licensed daycare facility, but they recommend that he be tested at the Hope Infant program because the daycare provider thinks that the child may have some developmental deficiencies. Have you done that, sir?
I have already.
And what's the result?
The daycare provider thought he might have a speech delay like one of his other brothers did. And I had a representative of the Hope Infant program come to my home, and it was determined that he does not have a speech delay because he's been talking, he's been putting 3-word sentences together and doing just fine.
Okay. Now we're going to get back to my original question, Mr. Brakefield, and that is, why did you not notify Miss Blake that you planned not to return Cody to her care?
Because before my first wife lost her parental rights, we had actually agreed to physical custody sharing. I informed Miss Blake of that, and she got very angry with me and started yelling at me that I was sending my son off to die, and so I figured, not wanting to go through that again and not knowing what her reaction this time would be, I figured a written letter would be the best route to go.
But you took him on July 25th, according to you, and you didn't write this letter, according to the date on the letter, until August 13th. So between July 25th and August 13th, what communication did you have with her?
I had none.
Well, that's wrong,
Except
sir.
when I told her I was going to go to Las Vegas to visit my father, which instead I went to another location, and my father started receiving phone calls from her demanding to know where I was, and my sister said she didn't know, and she was told by Miss Blake that she didn't care about me, she didn't care about Cody.
Don't listen to me. That's all hearsay. I'm asking you what you did.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Ben Brakefield and his wife Jennifer Jesse claim child care provider Carolyn Blake falsely accused him of kidnapping his son.
Mr. Brakefield, you're coming to court today, a man who, because of circumstances, finds himself in a position of having to care for an infant full-time and have a job. You did it with the help of Miss Blake for almost 2 years.
Right.
Then you meet this lady, and I gather from your complaint and from her answer that these two ladies did not get along.
At first they did when I first brought her over
Right
to her
now,
house.
it may be the first minute. After that, they did not get along. And within a month of the two of you deciding to make a life together, you remove Cody from Miss Blake's custody and don't tell her that you're not coming back. And expect her, listen to me, sir, and expect her to just say, well, I guess he decided to take the boy himself. There you go. And forget about it. And some 3.5 weeks later, sent her a letter outlining why you took him from her custody. I don't think that's right. So
I wasn't sure what her reaction would be, and I didn't want to risk
all you have to
being
do is
screamed
send her
at
a
and yelled at.
telegram. I decided to terminate your responsibilities with regard to Cody. I will not be bringing him back. After I return from vacation, I have found another daycare provider, period.
I don't think it would have made a difference in her reaction.
Well, you don't know, but at least you would have done the right thing.
I have several harassing phone calls on my cell phone. She threatened to sue for custody of my son. The time she threatened to call CPS. She called my command on several occasions. There are times that she on several of the phone calls says, I am Cody's mother, and even has a message directly to Cody saying, this is mommy, this is your mother. It's just anybody who's ever read this or heard the messages thinks we did the right thing by getting him out of her care.
Listen to me. I don't necessarily think you did the wrong thing by deciding to resume full-time physical custody of your child. You now had a fiancé who was going to be living with you, so you were in a better position to take care of him. I don't fault you, sir, for removing Cody and deciding to take him back in your full-time charge. I fault you for the method in which you did it. You did it in a heartless fashion. Very heartless. Not only heartless for her, but heartless for your son. He's a 2-year-old child. And the only maternal figure that he's known in 2 years is her. So whether you decide to take him back full-time, you sit down, you have a conversation, and you say, listen, you may like it, you may not like it, but I'm getting married, and I am going to take Cody back. We're going to make a family, the three of us, but I'd like to be able to do this in an orderly fashion. I'd like to be able to bring him to you 3 days a week, and then bring him 2 days a week, and then down to 1 day a week, and you can always visit him, so that the transition for my son would be easier. Do you understand what I'm saying to you, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
If she rejected that, you've at least done the right thing. But you can't do the wrong thing and then come to court and expect me to feel sorry for you, because after you did the wrong thing, she called Child Protective Services. What you did was wrong. What you did was abusive to a child who has the only other parent that they know, the one that they're with most of the time, because when you pick him up after work, then he goes to sleep. And that's those days that you're not picking him up because you're going to the gym and taking care of other personal business, right, according to you.
It's part of my job. It's mandatory. It's a mandatory military regulation that you work out 3 days a week.
Great! What does your 2-year-old son have to do with that? All he knows is the only person that's taking care of him is her.
Yep.
And what you did was precipitously and without any thought to how it was going to impact on him, you removed him from the only family that he knew without a transition. And that, as far as I'm concerned, was abusive. And that, as far as I'm concerned, deserves a call to Child Protective Services and say, what kind of person has this kind of judgment? I'm afraid for the kind of judgment that he is exercising with regard to this 2-year-old. You got my drift? I've raised some children, and I have grandchildren, and you're supposed to take the position as a parent that you're supposed to do what's best for them, the children, all the time. Now, it's best for your girlfriend, but what's best for the child. Right. Not even for what's best for her. Right. She's not the issue. You're grown-ups. He's not a grown-up. He's a baby. And you and your first wife put him in a position. You had bad judgment when you picked wife numero uno. I hope that you had better judgment when you picked numero due. I'm not so sure. But you and your first wife, it was your bad judgment picking somebody who wasn't ready to have a family. It was second poor judgment that you had a baby with somebody that wasn't ready to have a family. You find a caregiver who was giving your child, just kept him safe, fed, clean, because you didn't remove him from her custody for 2 years, so evidently her care could not have been that inadequate, sir. And then when you decide to do it, you do it in a fashion that is not designed to ease the transition. As far as I'm concerned, that's neglectful and very bad judgment. So, did you call Child Protective Services?
I don't believe I did.
Good for you. Your case is dismissed.
Disappeared from his apartment, the child, everything. I just took the baby and left. And the child didn't speak for 3 weeks. He wasn't around me.
I have the right to decide who my son's caregiver is, no matter how close he is to that person.
They hurt the baby 120%.
She just became overly bonded to him.
I would like to see Cody as a regular aunt and uncle would be.
She just can't get it out of her head that you're not Cody's mother.
I am the child's mother, not biologically, but every other sense I was.
Some people just have mental problems and can't differentiate the line between a caregiver and a parent.
I raised him for 21 months. He only came once every other week to get him.
I took my son home every night except Tuesday and Thursday nights.
That's not caring for a child. He didn't pay for diapers.
When she took care of Cody, he had a full crib full of clothes.
Formula, nothing.
He had 5 cans of formula. He was doing okay.
He doesn't give his family anymore.
I am Cody's father, and I have his family.
I just hope that Cody's going to do better. And if I don't see him now, I'll see him when he's 18, and he'll know everything.
Cody's going to do just fine. We already got a college fund started for him, and he's going to have a bright future.
26-year-old salesman Keenan Starnes is suing his ex-girlfriend, 20-year-old cashier Kristen Chinook, for having him falsely arrested for assault. Kristen is countersuing, claiming Keenan backed over her with his car.
That's case number 350 on the calendar, matter of Starnes versus Chinook. Vice been sworn in, judge. You may be seated. Have that seat, please.
You know what I find fascinating, Bert? I find it fascinating that people come here and they look as if butter could melt in their mouths. They're so sweet. I come outside and I look at these 2 little innocent faces. You know, they look like they belong on a postage stamp. And then you hear what they had to say about each other and what they did, and it's, you know, it's like everybody has 2 personalities. Fortunately, I get the nice personality, right? It is your claim, Mr. Starnes, that the defendant, who used to be your girlfriend, falsely accused you of hitting her with your truck. As a result of that, you had to spend money for lawyers, you had all kinds of aggravation. Did you spend any time in jail?
7 days.
7 days in jail. And you want her to compensate you for that. Ms. Chinook says that you did, in fact, have a hissy fit. Maybe because she threw her shoes at your truck. Which she did because she was angry. And she doesn't really remember the whole incident, but she does remember after she threw the slippers at your truck, she remembers seeing your taillights, and the next thing she knew, she woke up in the hospital. You say, I didn't do any of that. I don't know how she got there. Some other truck must have dropped out of the night sky and hit her, right?
Yes, ma'am.
When did you and the defendant stop being boyfriend and girlfriend?
7/12/03.
Interesting that you remember the date. And you've, since that time, had some problem because she wants her CDs back. The CDs that you either purchased together or you kept. So there's been an ongoing problem over these CDs. Is that right, Ms. Schnuck?
Yes, ma'am.
What was the date of this alleged hit and run?
7/14, 7/15.
What took you so long to come to court?
The plaintiff, Keenan Starnes. We had a court date.
The criminal case was pending, is that right? Okay, so you had to wait for the criminal case to be over before you came to court.
Yes, ma'am.
Because you had a counterclaim for your medical bills.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, after you had these ongoing discussions with Ms. Schnuck about the CDs and how she was going to get them back, you decided to go over to see her. Or you stopped by her house. Is that right?
No, ma'am.
Well, where did this incident happen with the slippers?
About, say, 2 miles from her house, at some mutual friends' houses.
What did you drive by there for?
I was actually headed to the mall. I just picked some friends up around the corner, and we seen her out in the yard and stopped and talked to her.
Who stopped to talk to her?
Me and my witness, Brittany.
Brittany is your new girlfriend?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, tell me what you said to her.
She wanted the CDs back. She said that she wanted them back by 10 p.m. I told her that I had bought the CDs, and that I wanted to get copies of them, and she could have the bought copies, and I would take the computer, if she wants, and that they would be returned to her.
Now, how long had she been asking you for these CDs?
2 or 3 days.
And was there any reason why you had this discussion with her with your new girlfriend in the car?
No, I just bumped into her.
And you decided to stop and talk to her about the CDs with your new girlfriend in the car?
Yes, ma'am.
And this was 3 days after you broke up? You have a short attention span.
Me and Brittany weren't together then.
You're just friends then?
Yeah.
Okay, now when he told you you weren't getting the CDs back until after he makes copies of them, he took off, and what happened?
Ma'am, I'm sorry. That is not what happened. I was at Longwood Manor. It was not 2 miles from my house. I did move here recently. I was over at Longwood Manor staying with a friend. They drove through once, beeping their horn and flipping off the apartment that I was in. Then when they came back for they actually left and came back again. And
so you went out?
I went outside the second time.
That was silly. That was silly, Ms. Schnuck. What'd you go outside for if he's behaving like a jerk?
Because, ma'am, my CDs are my life. That's the only thing that I'm
CDs are your life.
Yes,
You
ma'am.
better get a new life.
I know.
You better get another life. If your CDs are your life, your children are your life, your family is your life, sometimes your profession is your life. Some men say golf is their life. But I never heard anybody say my CDs are my life. So you went out after you saw him the second time, and what happened?
I went outside. I told the plaintiff, Keenan, that I wanted my CDs back, and that I knew that him and Brittany were together. She was supposed to be my friend at the time, Your Honor. According to several witnesses,
don't take. I'm not care what witnesses say. I don't care if they were together or not, other than the fact that he stopped to talk to you with the new girlfriend in the car, which is pretty stupid. But that's probably consistent. All right, so you went outside. You said, "My CDs are my life. Give me my life back." And he said, "You'll get them back after I dub them." Is that the right word?
That's the
right word. After I dub them, you'll get them back.
Yes, ma'am.
And then he peeled off.
No, ma'am.
Then you cursed him.
They started cursing. I started cursing.
Then you cursed him.
Yes.
There came a point when he took off in the truck, and you took off after him.
Yes, ma'am.
What did you do when you took off after him?
I took off after him. I said I want my CDs. Took off my sandals. I did throw them at him. I was upset.
Did they hit the car?
Yes. One of them actually flew inside the car window, and he was a 16-month-old little boy in the head. I did not know he was in the back seat.
Who's 16-month-old little boy?
Maybe.
What was the baby doing in the car?
I went on the festival.
And then what happened?
He put the car in reverse. We got into a conflict again in the middle of the road.
What kind of conflict? You can't say you got into a conflict. So far, I'm hearing all kinds of stupidity.
We were arguing, yelling, screaming, cussing. By that time, he told me to kiss my ASS goodbye and my CDs.
Well, Your Honor, the reason why I didn't call the police is because I saw her boyfriend when I was coming back to my truck. He was talking to the 911 officer.
Now,
and he said, write her tag number down.
Why would you think they would call 911? And at the time they called the police, this is what they reported. They didn't know the person, got mad when they were making a turn into PL. She started screaming, went around, got out, and hit the female in the face and pulled her hair while screaming at the female. He didn't say they're having a screaming match. Didn't say anybody took out mace. Said, my girlfriend got punched in the face and got her hair pulled, and we don't know who this person is.
And the reason why I didn't call at the time, Your Honor, I did not have my cell phone. I was just nervous, and I was ready to get out of there.
Very good. Now, what?
I have a police report from this incident, and she told a totally different story.
Can I see the police report, please?
To the police. It's a totally different story.
You want to speak? You want to be very careful about what you say. You're the sister, right? Mm-hmm. You're the reason that they didn't follow up and press charges because you confirmed her story. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
I want to tell you something. I'm smarter than the police. So you want to risk it? Get up. We understand each other? That requires an answer. Yes or no?
Yes,
do you understand me?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you choose to stand up and testify, or would you like to remain in your seat?
I like to testify.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Bo says she was assaulted in a parking lot by fellow motorist April Montanez. Parapon says April tried to pull her out of her car by her hair.
Your name?
Stephanie.
You have a last name?
Imes.
You want to tell me the story?
It's pretty much what my sister said.
It's pretty much what your sister said?
We were going to Kroger's. She was in front of my sister. It was busy coming traffic.
She beeped the horn. They had music.
How many times did she beep the horn?
It was like 2 or 3 times for her to go.
2 or 3 times. Your sister told me she beeped the horn only once.
It was like 2 or 3 times for her to go, like a rapid beep for her to go.
So it was 2 or 3 times, but it was like one time because it was so fast.
Yeah, it's like a rapid beep.
Right.
Okay. So they had the music going. She beeped the horn. She leaned out of the car. She flicked her off and said some stuff, some cuss words. My sister went ahead because no cars were coming. She went in front of the lady. The car came in behind us. We turned to go towards the laundromat. My sister parked next to the little island. The laundromat is right across from the car. My sister got out of the car. They were arguing back and forth, cussing at each other. Then my sister, I kind of stood out to hear what was going on. My sister walked into the laundromat. I got back in the truck.
Did she carry anything into the laundromat?
I think she had...
Just a second. Look at me. Did she carry anything into the laundromat?
Yes.
What did she take out of the car?
It was some outfits, I guess. Yes.
Were the outfits in a basket?
No. No.
No basket?
No.
Just things in her hand? Now, what were you going to the laundromat for?
To pick up some clothes, and I think she had to dry clean the clothes that she had for the party. But at the time that I was waiting for my sister, this female came up to the truck as I got back in. She had some mace in her hand, and she was trying to...
Was that before or after your sister hit her?
She didn't hit her.
Yes, she did. Sit down.
Your Honor,
yes, she did. Oh, yes, she did. She hit her, and she pulled her hair. And she was really annoyed. You want to know why I know she was really annoyed? Because she had a 2-week-old baby in the car, and instead of sitting there waiting for traffic to move, she sped up around and went around a car that was waiting to make a left turn and pulled out in front of her. That's something that someone does who has no judgment. And they only do it when they're annoyed.
No, ma'am.
I didn't ask you anything. I listened to you. You know, there's an old expression. If it doesn't make sense, it's usually not true. If it walks like a duck and quacks like a duck, it's a duck. Because we've all drivers have been in the same situation that you were in. Sometimes you're behind somebody, and for some reason, they don't make a turn when they're supposed to. The arrow is green, they're waiting, they're talking, they're involved in the phone, they're listening, they're daydreaming, and you're looking and you're saying, that's the only shade of green there's going to be, right? Why isn't this person going? If you have a short fuse, you'll honk the horn a few times, and if that's not successful, you'll peel out, which is what you did. You peeled out with a baby in the car, went around her in order to make a left turn because you thought that there was a clear enough avenue of traffic so that you could make the turn. I believe everything that she says. You had a bad hair day.
No, ma'am, I did.
Oh, yeah, you did. Yeah, you did. Your sister got you back into the... Listen to me. And your sister got you back into the car because you both saw the boyfriend on the phone with the police. That's what you just told me. A moment ago you said, I didn't have to call the police because I knew they were calling the police. And if you knew they were calling the police, then you stay there and wait for the police. You don't take off. What you just told me was, I didn't call the police because of this mace, thinking fast, because he was calling the police. And if somebody is calling the police, and if you are a victim of a crime, you remain there with the doors locked, windows up, you don't get out to go and take your clothes into the dry cleaners.
Because none of this took place, Your Honor. We just argued. We had our words.
Madam, I don't
She tried to get me.
Madam, I don't believe you. And I don't believe
can I bring
your sister.
something else to evidence?
Absolutely. Show it to me.
Okay, I have a disposition of a hearing when she tried to file simple battery and simple assault charges, and we went to Gwinnett County courts, and they were dismissed for insufficient evidence as well. Because in the police report, it says that the police officer, there was no physical evidence on the victim other than a few strands of hair that was allegedly pulled out by the suspect.
Listen to me, madam. She's not saying you broke her skin.
But there would have been swelling or something for the officer. This never took place, Your Honor.
I'm telling you, it took place, madam.
It didn't.
Listen, because you got over on a cop, and because you got over perhaps on a district attorney, you and your sister, who wouldn't know the truth if it came up and slapped her in the face, doesn't mean that I have to believe you. Your story doesn't make sense. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,500. That's all.
Parties are excused and they step out.
I insulted her race. She insulted mine. She told me she was going to get me.
The defendants, it's worse than a piece of dog.
If you would have saw her boyfriend, like 6 foot tall, earrings, a dragon tattoo on his neck.
He's 6'2", but he also weighed as much as she does, which is they both weighed 185 pounds.
I was just in a rush to get out of there because in Atlanta, people have been shot by road rage.
It just says she's a lying.
Suing her former customer, Ashley Satimi, for slander and the cost of 2 miniature pigs.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, everyone.
Hello, Judge. Case 3029, Garlic versus Simiti.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Miss Garlic, you have a business. I don't know if this is your main business, but you sell miniature pigs.
That is correct. This is one of my major businesses.
How long have you been doing that?
About 18 years.
You have photographs of what your pigs look like?
Sure.
Yeah, take a look at them, please.
Do you want the ones that she got off of me?
No.
Oh, adult ones? I do have some adult ones. There's a couple photos for her.
Okay. I'm going to try to simplify this if I can. And these are babies, or are these?
Those are older ones. They're like a year old, 8 months to a year old.
How much do they weigh?
Typically, if you feed correctly, anywhere from about 12 pounds up to about 40 pounds. About the size of a medium-sized dog.
Okay. And do they live in the house?
These are house pets. So they're litter box trained. I try to train them before they ever leave. I spend a lot of time with that.
Okay. How much do you sell them for?
Typically, my prices range between about $2,000, depending on age and size, up to about $3,500.
And I assume that in this business, the smaller they are,
the more
they cost. Well, just
and
sort of
also
like
the younger they are, the more they cost.
Okay. You were buying these as pets for yourself?
Correct.
And you were going to buy 2?
Yes.
Where did you see the plaintiff advertising the piglets, or did you hear it by word of mouth?
Just Google.
Just tell me what would inspire you to get a pig instead of a dog.
Well, I have 3 dogs and 3 cats. But I went to the state fair and I saw them in the piglets in the birthing barn.
Okay, and you fell in love. Got it.
There we go.
Got it. So you bought 2 pigs. According to both of you, you gave a deposit for the pigs, correct?
Yes. She gave a deposit on each pig because the amount was more and she didn't have enough right then, so she's going to make payments.
Okay. And in total, she paid you how much?
She paid me $1,500 deposit on each piglet, and then she gave me 3 payments of $250 Zelle payments, which she was supposed to pay for $250 every 2 weeks.
Okay, so she paid you $3,750 altogether.
Yes, which she's reversed all that.
I understand.
Oh,
that.
okay.
And the total purchase price for the 2 pigs that she purchased?
Okay, each one was $2,700.
Okay.
And
well, let me go through something that each of you agree on. She purchased 2. You sent them to her.
Correct.
In transit, before she got them, one of them died.
Yes, due to complication of Spain. Okay.
One of them didn't die in your custody.
Correct.
Died in transit.
Correct.
Okay, so we don't know, but we know that certainly the
Correct.
piglet didn't die of old age. It died in transit, so she only received 1.
Right.
At that time. And what was the date of that?
She had it delivered on the 21st of September.
Okay. And when you contracted for these piglets, Miss Satimi, did you sign a contract?
I did not, no.
Did you get any paperwork at all from her?
I have text messages stating the amount owed.
No. Do you have a contract?
Didn't have a contract with her. I did send her multiple
Well, just a second. You didn't have a contract with her. So you got the pig, and there were no other terms that were agreed to by both of you in writing other than the price. And what was the total price?
$5,400 is what she owed total.
Yeah. And of that, she gave you $3,750. Okay. At some point, you took another piglet, Miss Satimi, to replace the one that had died in transit.
No, when
Just a second. Well, you say you did, so you got to get your story straight. At some point, you accepted a second piglet from the plaintiff to replace the one who had died in transit.
It was get the pig or get no money back. So those are my two options.
Just a second. Well, that's true, Ms. Satimi, because you don't have a contract with her, according to you, that you can show me. She doesn't either. So in a contract for an animal that I know I've purchased over the last 60 years from a breeder, it usually says that there is a health guarantee until you take the dog to a vet, or if the dog has a congenital illness and it's discovered by a vet, you get either a return of your money or pick up. There are all kinds of terms contained in a contract that I know I've always gotten, and so you understand them. If you bought these pigs for her and you bought them without any written conditions, then she has to.
I do have a written thing that was sent to her.
I don't care whether it was sent to her or whether or not she acknowledged it. You can't have a one-sided contract. You understand that. You don't have a one-sided contract. So unless you agree to that someplace, which you clearly did not, that's meaningless what you're going to show me. And if you pay attention and don't shout out, maybe you'll find out that what I'm saying to her is to your benefit, and you're not supposed to interfere when the fact finder seems to be finding in your favor. So she was under no obligation to return your money.
No, she had.
So I'm just telling you, you accept. The answer is you accepted a second pig.
Yes, I did. Yep.
Was it in September?
It was.
In September. On what date did you accept the second pig?
The second pig, I did not receive that until a month later, which was October 19th.
Fine. So these are a couple of questions I have specifically for you. The first pig that you got from her on September 21st is named what?
That is alive.
Yes.
That is Bacon.
And what did you name the second pig that you got on October 19th?
That was Hammy.
And according to your papers, you took Hammy and Bacon to the vet on the 28th of October.
26th, I brought them to the vet.
That's different from what you said here. I assume you have the paperwork from the vet. But here you say in your answer that you took them on the 28th and you got an estimate for spaying them.
I went on the 26th, and at that point I found out that the pigs were not spayed as per...
As per what?
As per our conversation. I had a conversation saying that the pig would be spayed. And on the 26th, I went to the vet, found out it was not spayed, and said, how much would it be to spay? I got a quote on the 28th, and that is...
Did you take the pigs back for the quote?
No.
So just a second. I'm talking. You don't want me just to dismiss your whole case.
No.
Right, which I'm thoroughly prepared to do. I have other things to do today. All I know is you brought in two healthy pigs shortly after being seen by the vet, who described the pigs as happy and healthy. One of them died. What does that have to do with her? They're in your care. What does that have to do with her?
Karen Garlick claims her former customer, Ashley Satini, slandered her business and owes for the cost of 2 miniature pigs. Ashley is countersuing for vet bills.
On the 26th, you took the pigs to the vet. Correct. Were the pigs given ivermectin?
Yes.
Both of them?
Yes.
May I see, by the way, the vet papers from that date?
Absolutely. Would you like the quote as well, or just the...
I don't want the quote. I want the vet's notes. So you had both pigs from the 19th of October until you took the pigs to the vet on the 26th. So the 19th, 20th, 21st, 24th, 25th, and 26th. Yep, correct? Yes. Yep, is not an answer. Yes. And when you went to the vet for the pigs, according to you, the pigs were, and according to the vet,
yep, yes,
the pigs were healthy, according to you, playful. I'm going to read what they said.
I don't want to say
just a second. Well, that's what it says.
It says they have mites,
No. What I'm telling you is what they said. Bacon, who you still have.
Yes.
Yeah, and Hammy presented for examination. When Hammy arrived, she had a pendulous belly that the breeder attributed to a parasite, and she was dewormed with a product provided by the breeder, after which this appearance resolved. This is according to you. This is what you gave the vet. And Hammy began to gain weight. Yes. Both pigs are bright and active at home with excellent appetites. So far, that's what the vet is getting from you about the pigs. That they're both happy, healthy. She gave you stuff to deworm them. Hammy started to gain weight, and then the vet gave them this medicine. And 2 days later, Hammy died. This is from your history to the vet, that the pigs were fine. The vet gave both pigs this very strong medication, and I want you to describe what happened to the pig the day after you came back from the vet.
Perfectly fine.
Okay.
And can I just say that the ivermectin, that's the same stuff that Karen gave me.
Who knows how much the vet gave them? All I know is you brought in two healthy pigs shortly after being seen by the vet, who described the pigs as happy and healthy. One of them died. What does that have to do with her? They're in your care. What does that have to do with her?
Well, you're saying it was a medication. It's the same medication that was given.
It depends upon how much medication you give an animal.
This was a swine specialist.
Listen, I don't care, madam. I want you to understand that, A, you have no health guarantee. But even if you had a health guarantee, what I'm reading from the vet is you reported that the pigs were fine, happy and healthy. She had given you a certain amount of this to get rid of the parasites, which you reported to the vet, worked, and then the pig is seen by the vet, who gives the pig more of that toxic if taken in too high a dose, and died.
That's not the reason it died.
I'm reading your papers. How many days after Hammy was given this dose by the vet did the pig die? How many days after? I'm reading. I have your papers. Well, then maybe you did something 3 days later. Maybe you fed it something wrong. It's not her problem. It's your problem. By that time, she has sent you a piglet that you've had for 10 days. Now, how many pigs do you have that were purchased from her that you currently have home?
One.
Okay. And that would be Bacon. Correct. What was the total price for Bacon?
$750.
Well, that's not what Bacon cost.
Bacon cost $2,500.
$2,500.
If you can look at my text messages.
Okay, may I see the text message, please?
Hold on.
Okay, cash price $4,900, Karen. Finance price is always more. I don't charge interest. Me. This is what I think is fair. I owe you $4,900 for the two pigs. I gave you $3,000. I owe you $1,900. PayPal took $90 because I did the PayPal protection. I will absolve. You mean absorb that and round the remaining out to $2,000. I pay you $250 each week. And she says, okay. So now we have a contract. Perfect. Would that be okay? Yes. And then you say, do they have any vaccines yet? Yes, they will be vaccinated. So you agree on that. Do you have any warranty on the pigs? This is September 20th. I don't want to accept delivery of brown one if they are sick and going to die in a few weeks. Yes. 90-day replacement. Okay. 90-day replacement is what she says. Not your money back. 90-day replacement. That's your contract. Could you please now show me where she agrees to... I don't see it, and I don't want to look through this whole thing. Show me where the price includes spaying.
That would be on her website.
No, it's not on the website.
No.
I have a...
Just a second. Show me there, which is what I asked you for. There in the messages.
Better. How about a voicemail from her where she has stated that they're going to be...
Could you just do me a favor, madam? Yeah. Would you show me there?
I believe it is a verbal voicemail from her. I don't believe it is written. I believe it's verbal voicemail.
What do you mean you believe?
I don't think it's in this.
So it's not in that.
I will continue looking.
Yeah,
but I know
continue looking.
I will.
It's not in there. No. Okay. Now you say you have a voicemail where she says that the $4,900 includes spaying. I'll hear it.
I absolutely do.
By the way, were they 2 females that were brought?
Females.
Okay.
Your Honor, I spay all the males, but I never spay females.
Listen to me.
Okay.
She says she has a voicemail that says that the $4,900 for the 2 pigs includes spaying.
I'd like to see
She says she has it. I want to see it.
I also have a loss. You know, I shouldn't have got this spayed before it went, but that was my understanding is you wanted it done.
Just explain to me. This says, if I'm hearing correctly, that one of the piglets was spayed.
Yes, I have documents from the vet.
May I see them, please?
That is not true.
Karen Garlick is accusing her former customer, Ashley Satimi, of refusing to pay for the piglets she purchased. Ashley claims she received sick piglets, and Karen owes for the vet bills.
Okay. But President, I don't know where we'll give it to Sarah.
It should be 40 seconds.
So we're both at a loss with this because I haven't had this happen either. You know, I understand where you're upset you lost the one. So please get a hold of me so we can get something worked out because I understand your frustration, but you got to understand mine as well. I also have a loss. You know, I shouldn't have got it stayed before it went, but that was my understanding is you wanted it done prior to going, and that's the discussion I had gotten from you, and so I went and got that done. Plus, you couldn't take her until after the 17th, so we had to arrange the shipping, you know, after that point, so the other one's getting delivered also tonight. But, you know, this kind of puts me in a predicament.
Just explain to me. This says, if I'm hearing correctly, that one of the piglets was spayed.
They both were spayed. The one that died was spayed. That's why it died, in my professional opinion. I went through 4 years of veterinary technology school as well.
Okay, so the one that died, the one that didn't make it in transit, was spayed.
Yes, correct.
Just a second.
And the other one.
And Bacon.
Evidence. Bacon and Hammy, whatever the first one she called.
Were both spayed?
Yes, I have documents from the vet.
May I see them, please?
That is not true. I actually spoke with her, and she said her son mixed it up.
Birth dates are on there from the vet, and the color and everything.
Just a second.
I actually called the vet as well.
You can't tell me what the vet said to you. What color are the pigs that you got?
They are chipmunk color, but there are multiple in their litter. She tried selling me 2.
Just to answer my question.
They're chipmunk color.
What are they? They're chipmunk color.
Brown, yep.
One of them striped?
I'm not sure what you would consider
That's what chipmunks is called, striped.
And red and white?
That was the one for sure.
They were both spayed on September 13th.
Correct.
Now tell me, you went to reverse all the charges that you had paid for her because you had paid her a certain amount of money, $3,750. Did you get all that money back?
No.
How much did you get back?
$3,000.
And then the Zelle account suspended that.
Just a second.
They took it from me, and they've got to suspend it because she claimed I was fraudulent.
Just a second. She now has 2 pigs. What happened to them in her care is, as you understand, is not...
I have 1.
I don't care whether you have 1 now, madam. I just told you you had 2 pigs that were healthy according to the vet. After you had had the replacement pig for over 10 days, it died after it had seen a vet that reported it healthy. You say it was 3 days. If it was the next day, I would say it was the shot the vet gave him that caused her to die. But you said it was 3 days later. I don't know what you fed it. I don't know what you did to it. I don't know who else took care of it. It's irrelevant. She's entitled to her money for 2 pigs. And if you had that reversed by the bank, you can't do that.
You had a 90-day replacement for the pigs, and she replaced it, and she has received zero money.
$750.
That's zero money.
I don't have it. And I don't believe that it's on hold either. It is.
Just a second. You don't have what?
The $750 I sent her, I did a dispute on it, and they said that because it was not fraudulent, she still has it.
For the $5,000 that these two pigs cost, you paid, according to you, $750.
That's correct.
Well, you owe her the rest. You owe her the money. I'm finding, now we're finished. Okay. Now we're finished with testimony, and I'm telling you that the death of one of the pigs, you have one, the death of the other one, happened in your care. Whatever it was, if you don't want to blame the vet, blame yourself, not her. You had a healthy pig when that pig went to the vet over a week after it arrived from her. So it's your fault, and you owe her the rest of the money. Did you get the $750 from her? That's either a yes or a no.
No.
No. You owe her $4,900 for the two pigs. Judgment for the plaintiff. We're finished. It's dismissed.
This court is adjourned.
My slander.
It's dismissed. Okay. I tell you one other thing. If you post anything derogatory about her business again, she's going to see you back in court, either mine or somebody else's. Do you understand?
Yes.
Perfect.
Thank you, Your Honor. Thank you. Some people think they get something for nothing anymore, and it's just the way it is. People try to cheat you.
You know, I got 3 pigs from her. 2 of them died.
You know, I get so attached because I'm very passionate about my animals. I'm very passionate about my business and my customers.
And 2 out of 3, that's not a good record.
So this is just really heart set to me because
2 pigs dying, there's something goofy going on there.
anytime a little animal dies like that, I take heart.
Moral of the case. If you're going to spend thousands of dollars on a pet, have a contract in writing as to what your expectations are so that you have a price, you have whatever guarantees there are, you have whatever exchange policies there are. Because what happened in there is I had to create a contract out of
nothing, out of
text mails,
voicemails,
out of text messages. I agreed to pay. Yes, well, that's a meeting of the minds as to a term. But that's an unprofessional way of the plaintiff to deal with a business that is a substantial business if she has 18 pigs. And it's really not a smart way for the defendant, to whom money is important, $5,000 has to be important to her, would go into a business arrangement without a formal writing.
Yeah, and just a secondary point that I was thinking of is we would want that contract to exist for anything, for a car, for a transfer of funds, but especially you want those details and those guarantees for a life. You're talking about a living animal.
Right.
And I think that requires, from both ends, a lot more words, a lot more sign pages, something more.
It requires a contract.
A contract.
It requires a contract. And she's in the breeding business. She's been doing it for 18 years. She should have a contract.
Listing whatever her terms may be. Maybe it's you don't get a refund, but I'll send you, a replacement. That's perfectly fine. But all of those expectations should be
in a contract.
Keith Pasquarello is suing his former landlord, Brandon Hubbard, for destruction of property, a security deposit, and harassment.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case number 3037, Pasquarello versus Hubbard.
Oh, my goodness. Mr. Pasquarello, you all seem to have a lot of things that you brought to me, and I actually think that you're all overthinking this case. I, however, am not overthinking it. It's relatively simple. You rented a room from the defendant in a house that you own.
Yes, ma'am.
It didn't work out. They didn't like he and his girlfriend. Fiance. Didn't get along with you. You didn't get along with them. You had problems with each other's lifestyles. You are no longer there, and you want your security deposit back, which I, of course, will entertain. But you're asking for emotional distress, nuisance, filing a false restraining order, harassment. That's not happening. I'm going to get over that. You had a tenancy that didn't work out. And if it didn't work out, and if you didn't do anything to the property, you're entitled to your security deposit back. You moved in when?
December 1st.
What do you do for a living?
I own a company.
What kind of company?
It's a janitorial company.
For how long?
Approximately 9 years.
Do you have employees?
Yes.
How many?
Approximately 20.
You pay them on the books or off the books?
20.
Was this an interim room that you were renting from him, or were you planning on staying here for a long time?
It was a 6-month lease.
Is there any reason why you took a room? If you have a company for 9 years with 20 employees and you pay on the books and you were living in a room?
Yes, I'm going through a divorce. I moved to Los Angeles in 2007. Got with my wife for 15 years. We're going through a divorce, and during the pandemic, she was raised in Riverside, so I had to follow her all the way to Riverside to just raise my children. I don't have any family or friends here on this side of the country. I'm from Florida, so I was by myself, and I had to rent a room by myself.
And the children stayed with their mother in the house, in your
Yes,
property?
we're currently going through a custody battle.
So what you're telling me is that a room is what you can afford?
That's all I can afford.
Okay.
We're still going through community property.
Okay, so you found his room.
I was moving from one house to another because they were selling their home. The housing market is very, very bad right now. It's very hard to find rent in what I can afford. So I found his, along with 2 others, and I liked his location, and I moved in under the lease agreement that he presented to me.
Okay, so he presented a lease agreement to you. You signed it. You have a copy of it?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to look at it.
Your Honor, there's a couple of discrepancies.
Just a second.
Sorry.
I didn't ask anything yet. There were no discrepancies. He rented a room from you. He signed a lease. I asked him to see the lease.
He started moving his belongings in November 13th of 22.
And
he officially moved himself in on December 1st.
Why is that important?
When he moved in, he brought a refrigerator into the house that was infested with roaches.
Do you have a copy of the lease?
Yes, I'm trying to do. I have so much here.
I know you have a lot there.
Here's, I found it.
All right, there's a very big lease with your signature on it on November 7th. Okay, so now I have the lease. You moved in on December 12th. When did you move out?
When my girlfriend got back from her trip from Spain and Italy is when I was able to move. Because she was able to help me. I couldn't do it by myself. I don't remember the exact
How's the date when you moved out?
Yes. So I have a timeline here. 4/21, he moved out. And at that point,
4/21.
Yep.
And what was the monthly rent, sir?
1,000.
And how much was your security?
500. If I could say, Your Honor, I'm not here because we had a little spat.
No, you didn't have a spat. It was a terrible 4 months.
It's a breach of the lease, Your Honor. I mean, they had 3 rules. It says right here in the lease, 3 rules and regulations. And on the 17th, I got a new set of rules. Then I was only told I could do my laundry once a week. Then I was told that my girlfriend couldn't stay past 9 o'clock. The rules were going changing as they went on, making my life a living hell.
Well, then you move. How old are you?
I'm going to be 50. And
You're going to be 50.
1st.
Just a second, you're going to be 50. Okay. And, you know, rules what people live by. I assume that that's one of the reasons that you're going through a divorce and you have custody unless it was a girlfriend or a boyfriend. I don't know which one it was, and I actually don't care. What I'm telling you is, if something is terrible, you're 50 years old, you say, I'm done here. I'm leaving.
I was going to do that, Your Honor. I was looking for places to stay. The housing market is almost impossible.
So what is that? That's not his fault. That's your fault.
It's not his fault for giving my quiet peace and enjoyment of life. Filming me with my cameras in the house, not telling me I'm being monitored.
Let me explain something to you, sir. You're a big boy. I say this to people all the time. You don't like where you're staying? Move. Sometimes I have sympathy for somebody who is really down and out, and they say, I really can't cobble the money together to find month's rent and a month's security. I was trying to save my money. That's not in your case. You've had a business for 9 years with 20 employees who you pay on the books, and you have 3 children. So that's not your situation. What I'm telling you is, not everything is a lawsuit. And I know that you're suing him for $10,000 because he violated the peaceful enjoyment of your life. Okay? Move. So I don't necessarily believe, but I actually find it amusing for a lawyer to tell you, well, stop paying rent, and you'll deal with it when you come up with an unlawful detainer because you are staying without paying rent.
Pete Pasquarello claims his former landlord, Brandon Hubbard, destroyed his property and harassed him. Brandon is countersuing for pest control fees and filing a false restraining order.
You're a grown man. You run a big business. You're not supposed to stay in a place that's terrible.
Judge, the business is in community property right now. And
I don't care. That's not his
I
fault.
own the full business. I get the full money.
Just, hey, I'm telling you, I asked you what you did. You said, I own a business. I have 20 employees. It's a janitorial business, and I needed a place right away. I took this room. And what I'm telling you is, you have a car?
Yes, I do.
Where does your girlfriend live?
She was 2 cities away.
Okay.
But there's another aspect of this, Your Honor. That's why there's so much evidence up here. I was being harassed so much that I didn't know what to do anymore. I was given advice by an attorney. Stop paying him, and you will deal with it when you go to the unlawful detainer hearing, and we'll see if it gets solved there.
You went to an attorney? Just a second.
Yes.
You consulted with an attorney who gave you advice?
Yes.
Is this an attorney that you knew who worked for you, or is this someone that you found that was a specialist in this field of landlord?
Someone that was a specialist in this field. This is Riverside, and this is Los Angeles. Los Angeles.
I don't care. Now, lawyers don't work for free. What did he charge you?
Nothing. It was a consultation.
Charge you nothing for a consultation?
It was a 20-minute conversation.
20 minutes. I get a bill for 20 minutes for $750. I don't know how you got your consultation for nothing. So, I don't necessarily believe it, but I actually find it amusing for a lawyer to tell you, well, stop paying rent, and you'll deal with it when you come up with an unlawful detainer because you are staying without paying rent.
Your Honor, I filed an incident with their housing. I called the police 4 times.
I'm telling you to move.
I couldn't,
You're
Your Honor.
not,
I couldn't move. I couldn't move.
Mr. Pasquarello, I can't help you, sir. You want your security deposit back? I have to see if you left a mess. If you didn't leave a mess, then you get your $500 security back. Except, I have a question. Did you pay December's rent?
Yes.
Did you pay January's rent?
February. Yes.
March. Don't speak. March's rent.
I didn't pay March or April, but it was already litigated.
No. I don't care. You moved out April 21.
Yes.
Did you pay March's rent? I'm going to ask you for proof.
I don't believe I paid March.
Okay, so you didn't pay March's rent of $1,000. So already, you don't get your security deposit back.
But he was already awarded this in a previous case.
What? Previous case?
In a previous case, he was awarded in the unlawful detainer hearing. The judge granted him March and April.
Oh, so he got March and April's rent?
Yes, he got March and April. He
Oh,
received
wait, just a second. Did you pay him March and April's rent?
I have it. I don't know.
Well, I'm not an appellate court. You have to go get that from someplace, sir. You have to get that from him. You have to file a judgment. You have to attach his business. You have to do what you have to do. If the judge awarded you March and April, which I would have considered. Anyway, Mr. Pasquarello, I'm done with your case. I'm going to get to the counterclaim. You're not entitled to security deposit back because you didn't pay rent for 2 months. Okay, now let's get to your counterclaim. You had a hearing before a judge in an unlawful detainer?
Yes, we did.
Okay, and you testified? Speak.
Sorry.
That's either a yes or a no. Did you testify?
Yes.
Somebody say, raise your right hand and you swear to tell the truth? And judge asked you questions?
Yes.
And you answered questions?
Correct.
Did the same thing for him?
Yes.
And they ordered him to pay the 2 months' rent?
Yes.
And then he left?
Yes.
And he's no longer living with you as of April 21st?
Correct.
Okay. What did you tell that judge that he owed you aside from rent? Is not an answer. What did you tell the judge that he owed you other than March and April's rent?
I told the judge that he owed me for the court harassment hearings.
Now, just a second. I'd like to see where you not from a book that you have.
Sorry.
Show me where you told the judge other things that you were claiming he did, including the parking fines in the development.
So this is everything that he owes me here.
I didn't ask you for everything he owes you. That's not what I asked you. I said, what did you tell the judge in the previous hearing that he owed you?
I only asked for the back rent due.
Oh, so what are you showing me?
This was for the small claims case.
Just a second. So after you went before a housing court to get him out because he hadn't paid rent, you went to small claims court.
I was just responding to a civil case that he had filed against me.
Well, his civil case is dismissed. Okay?
That's what
He hasn't paid a judgment that he owes. May I see that, please?
Your Honor, he also asked the judge. Okay, he also, okay.
Just a second.
Sure.
Okay. Value of the remainder of the lease. That you're not getting.
Okay.
You happy to see him go?
Yes.
Great, he's gone. Court filing fees. I may think about that because he stopped paying rent on the advice of some idiot lawyer that he followed, this man who owns a business. Sheriff's filing fees. What fees were that for? For
That's
the unlawful
to serve
detainer?
him the eviction paperwork to post it on the door.
Crisis management fees. What is that?
That was for my advice to, with the lawyer.
Ah, you don't get that. A valve that went over something?
Oh, his parking ticket.
Yeah, he got a parking fine when he was living there.
Oh, well, I have that. A parking fine.
Yes.
Are you responsible for that?
Yes, I already paid it. I have
All
the
right,
receipt
can I
here.
see how much was the parking fine?
The parking fine was $50.
Okay. Did you know that you got a violation, sir, Mr. Pasquarella, when you were parking?
Yes, Judge, I would love to explain that. In one of the text messages that I have, Allie, his fiance, threatened to have my car ticketed. I have been living at Canyon Lake for 3 years. I had never even came close to getting a ticket. Ironically, 2 weeks later, I get a ticket right after she threatens to have my car ticketed to the POA. Now, to my understanding, she's been in Canyon Lake for a very, very long time, since she was a little girl, and she has relationships there. I
don't know that. You can't prove any of that, sir. You got a ticket.
So
you got a ticket. They have a picture. You have a car that the license plate is.
I also have a text message of her saying she's going to get my car
Just a second. I'm just
ticket.
asking you whether that's your license plate.
Yes, it is. When the harassment wouldn't stop, I filed a restraining order.
Well, this is your filing against him.
So I did file one once he started getting aggressive.
What happened with those cases?
His was...
Don't speak from your chair. Do you hear me?
Keith Pasquarello has accused his former landlord, Brandon Hubbard, of destroying his property and harassing him. Brandon is countersuing for breaching the lease and filing a false restraining order.
This is a filing fee for small claims court. That you're not getting.
Your Honor, I wouldn't have to have
Writ
any
of
this money out
possession
of
is
pocket.
$40. Is that what you're talking about, the writ of possession?
Yes.
That you're entitled to, because he stopped paying rent. So far, he owes you $90 for the filing fee.
And then I have another receipt for no return of the POA ID card or the POA decal for his car.
What is that?
Because we live in a gated community, you have an ID card that they give you and a decal that they put on your car so you don't get tickets. Or if you do get a ticket, they know whose house to send it to. And that was $100 each, and I have a receipt for that.
Can I see what he's showing you?
And it says his name right at the top.
Did you pay this bill?
I did.
Would you please, Kevin, show this to the plaintiff? You know what that's for? It's your name on it.
It's a POA card. That card was thrown away in the trash. I mean, I don't have no use for it.
Then that's a problem. Then you owe him $200. That's $290. Anything else, sir?
I believe that the small claims fee is...
Forget it. I'm not giving you the small claims fee. Let's go.
Okay.
Let's go.
I lost another tenant due to Keith's behavior.
Let's go. Let's go.
And
let's move on. Move on.
He owes me $900 in lost rent from that other tenant.
No, he doesn't.
Because he's
I
scared.
said let's move on.
Okay.
So far, he owes you $290.
And the court harassment filing fees. They're charging me $450 to respond to a restraining order that he put forth.
Oh, just a minute. Did you file a restraining order against him?
I sure did.
Okay. And when did you file that?
I don't remember the exact date.
Do you have the date? If you don't remember the date, do you have
It was January 28th.
January 28th.
That was the day I was served with the paperwork. And
of
my,
2023.
Yes. My witness was also served with one, too.
Just a second. Here's my question, Mr. Pasquarello. You moved out in April of 2022?
23, he moved out.
23. And when did you file this harassment case against him for an order of protection?
I don't remember the exact date.
Well, can I see the papers, please?
I believe I have them here.
When the harassment wouldn't stop, I filed a restraining order.
Okay, so March 27th. That's a response. Hold on. Let's see if I have the actual filing date.
Can I see it, please?
2023. Here's the receipt for the $145 for the evictions process.
I can't hear a word you're saying, sir. I'm reading.
Okay.
Well, this is your filing against him.
So I did file one a month later, once he started getting aggressive.
Okay, so he filed one and you filed one. So you both bothered the courts.
Yes.
Both of you. What happened with those cases?
His was.
Don't speak from your chair. Do you hear me? What happened with those cases?
They were both dropped.
Mine was dismissed by the judge. The judge
Were they both dismissed?
Yes,
they were both dismissed.
That's the answer. You owe him, Mr. Pasquarella, $290. We are finished. Your claim is dismissed. Goodbye.
Court is adjourned. Throwing my property away? You know, blaming me for a roach problem they already had? He moved a little mini fridge in that apparently was roach infested. I was done with it months ago, many months ago, but unfortunately I couldn't move out of town where, I don't have any friends or family to help me. I just met my girlfriend, and I'm not going to bring this luggage on her. So he was trying to squat for free in order to save money to move somewhere else. I don't know what he was trying to do. I'm ready to move forward, but the thing I'm disappointed about is not even the money necessarily. It's about there's no protection for tenants. Watch out and really understand your lease before you sign it.
You know, Sarah, I understand that you don't completely agree with the premise that I start from. If you hate where you're living and you have any capability at all, you shouldn't stay there. And then if you leave and your landlord sues you for breach of the lease because you moved out, and if you have a legitimate reason why you moved out, that you were being harassed, that your landlord was a peeping Tom, that he would come into your house at night and go through your underwear drawers, whatever it was, and we've had all of those, they entertain that and say, hey, he had an absolute right to break his lease. I don't get. The example that I always give and have given for a quarter of a century is if you go to a restaurant and you order a sirloin steak and the waiter brings it over and you cut it and you taste it, you say, oh my God, this steak is bad. And you proceed to finish the steak, and when the bill comes, you say, it's the worst steak I ever ate, I'm not paying the bill. Not in my world. In my world, if you cut into the steak and say, you know what, I'm not eating this steak that costs $42, bring me a bowl of Cheerios for $12, that I can understand, and that's fair. But if you stay in the house and eat the steak, and there's not something that really prohibits you. I mean, if you're somebody who's challenged and you're living in a small group home, it's not easy for you to find another facility. That's a whole different ballpark. This is a man who says he's a CEO of a company with 20 employees. That's what he told me. And he's living in a place where he feels harassed, and his girlfriend can't stay past 9 o'clock. You know, I have zero sympathy for that.
I can appreciate that. I think just the undertones, this particular situation, I may agree with you a little bit more after hearing your reasoning, but I do think it can be more challenging than you and I realize on occasion to move. I mean, that can be a big deal. And of course, he held himself out as a CEO with 20 employees in what he said was successful business. I'm thinking that wasn't the case, and he was a little maybe too embarrassed to state that, but that was my position. So,
yeah, but that's the
if you have the opportunity to leave, that's what you should do. I agree with that.
And he left, and he came here with his girlfriend. Now, I don't know if they're living in the same place now, but certainly she would come to visit him. That was one of the things that he was objecting to, that you couldn't stay past 9 o'clock. Well, so you put your tushy in the car and you go to her house, which is 2 cities away. I have zero sympathy.